Topping today's news, the opposition continues its critique of the Bahamas Power and Light reform deal, while Prime Minister Davis touts a reduction in energy costs beginning in July. People living in shanty towns urged to seek living accommodations in regularized communities, and the latest on the Urban Renewal Small Home Repairs Program. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News, and it is a pleasure to have you join us. Leader of the opposition, Michael Pintard, says the government's plans to revamp Bahamas Power and Light with the help of Island Grid Limited will financially bind the country for years to come. Pintard made the comments on Thursday, saying the partnership with the private company, leaving the government owning just 40% of shares, is a bad deal.
As a first issue, the Davis administration is giving away $100 million of BPL T&D, transmission and distribution assets, in exchange for a 40% stake in a company that has been funded with $30 million in cash by the joint venture partner company, a subsidiary of Pike Corporation. This significant difference in the equity ownership is not beneficial to the Bahamian people when considering the value of the assets given to the new Special Purpose Vehicle, SPV, by the Davis administration.
Leader Pintard is questioning the fairness of the deal and says it seems to majorly benefit Island Grid while leaving the Bahamas with a chunk of debt. Add to that, Pintard is asking whether Bahamas Power and Light will be purchasing goods from Island Grid and if Island Grid will also be earning profits from the markup of those goods.
The Davis administration also indicated that the new entity will go out and raise an additional $100 million in debt to fund the upgrade of the transmission and distribution system. And so just imagine being able to get $20 million per year for an investment where you've made an initial $30 million of your funds, but the rest you would have raised because of the lucrative arrangement that you are entering into. What a sweetheart deal. And the deal even allows you to go on to borrow. However, with the Bahamas government being an equity partner in this arrangement, we are also on the hook for a portion of the debt for that borrowing.
Offering recommendations, Pintard said the government should transfer none of BPL's transmission and distribution assets to the newly formed Bahamas Grid Company, but instead enter an agreement allowing the grid company to buy new equipment. In response, the Minister of Energy, Jobeth Kobe Davis, released a statement late Thursday criticizing the past F&M administration for their failure to make urgent upgrades to BPL's poor infrastructure and accused the F&M leadership of not grasping the complex workings of the energy sector. Meanwhile, the Senator Ryan Pinder, he has said that Bahamas Power and Light will be able to purchase back shares from Island Grid should the need arise in the future. During wrap-up to the budget debate earlier this week, Prime Minister Philip Davis reiterated the government's promise that consumers will see savings in your electricity bills beginning next month, despite not seeing the full benefits of the recently announced energy reform plans for another 18 to 24 months. The Prime Minister says check your bills for savings at the end of July.
This reduction will provide much-needed relief so families can have more money for groceries, school supplies, and other necessities. The money saved will be spent at local businesses, further stimulating the economy. So I invite all Bahamians, check your bills at the end of July. See for yourself. See for yourself. Your first 200 kilowatt hours will have a cost of $0, and your fuel surcharge will go down compared to the month before. Add up the savings yourself and know that as LNG and solar are incorporated, your bills will go down even further.
The Prime Minister said we cannot take on the cost of living and the cost of doing business in the Bahamas without first tackling the issues of the high cost of electricity and reliability of electricity. He said the impacts of his administration's energy reform will be felt nationally. While making his contribution to the budget debate last week, the Minister of Works, Clay Sweeting, said officials have discovered 12 additional shanty towns located on Abaco, Grand Bahama, Eleuthera, Andros, and right here in the capital, New Providence. He said the new shanty towns were discovered as the government prepares to demolish structures in 5 unregulated communities on New Providence and Abaco. Minister Sweeting says the Davis administration is determined to rid the country of such squalid living conditions.
This government, Madam Speaker, has zero tolerance policy towards illegal and unregulated structures. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Such establishments not only pose a significant risk to their inhabitants, but compromise the safety and orderly development of our nation.
Mr. Sweeting then sent a stern message to individuals currently living in shanty towns or unregulated communities.
I must emphasize and warn the general public. The existence of unregulated communities poses significant risks to health, safety, and to welfare. These areas often lack the basic infrastructure and services that are essential for a decent quality of life. Therefore, I strongly advise individuals currently residing in unregulated communities to seek accommodations in regularized communities. I want to repeat that. I want to now publicly warn persons that are in unregulated communities to seek accommodations in regularized communities. These communities are designed to provide safe and healthy living conditions for all residents.
According to Mr. Sweeting, demolition exercises will continue over the next several months, particularly here in the capital. And finally, in this segment, following the success of the removal of 600 derelict vehicles from the Angliston area earlier this year, Minister of Housing and Urban Renewal Keith Bell says the Urban Renewal team now has its eyes on derelict properties. During his budget contribution, Minister Bell revealed that in a new program, the ministry will be transforming abandoned properties into affordable homes.
It has become abundantly clear that true transformation extends beyond mere vehicle and trash removal. It requires innovative utilization of these vacant or underutilized spaces. In light of this, we are initiating a pilot program to build affordable homes in Angliston this fiscal year. Properties have been identified and service will be concluded very shortly. We are hopeful that we can have the first cohort of properties redeveloped by the end of the year.
Continuing the ministry's comprehensive strategy for urban improvement this year, Minister Bell reveals the ministry is also in the early phases of its $5 million small home repairs program.
With the significant commitment, Madam Speaker, of $5 million initially, we are determined to support small home repairs, ensuring the most vulnerable among us receive the urgent assistance they need. Our dedicated team, Madam Speaker, has already assessed numerous properties and has commenced repairs, bringing much-needed relief to countless families. Madam Speaker, these initiatives in Angliston are just a few examples of the wide-ranging projects being undertaken by Urban Renewal.
Minister Bell said he expects the budget will continue to provide additional funding to amplify the home repair program and expand similar programs throughout the country. You're listening to JCN News. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.